All right, so got a request uh, to share how I do my briskets. So happy birthday, Kevin. And this fits for you, dude. To kind of give you a general knowledge of what to look for when you pick up a brisket, as well as kind of what you need to do when you're cutting your brisket. So this brisket is a brisket that I picked out. You can see here, I've already seasoned it. I've already cut off all the garbage, which is kind of generally over here. You want to just kind of see all this like kind of junk on this one. My dad picked out this brisket. It's a terrible brisket. Um, when you look for a brisket that's like pseudo trimmed already, um, your top piece, which is not your fat cap, I'll show you what that looks like on this one because it has a much better fat cap. I'm going to look for a brisket that has a great fat cap that covers the entire bottom of your brisket. Why? Because this protects your meat from your fire or your heat. So all that heat will get in there and hit the fat instead of your meat, and the heat won't dry out your meat. Okay. So generally, all this, kind of white stuff you see here, you see the striations of the meat. That's all good. You want to get rid of all this white stuff. Kind of generally get a sharp knife, kind of chop that stuff off. I've been working on this one. It's really dirty. It is not a good brisket. Like, I never would have picked this out. My dad got it. I told him I'd cook it for him. And here's the problem with it. Big problem number one, the fat cap does not cover your meat. Like, it's covered over here at the flat. It is not at the point. The point doesn't have a good cover, so you're probably going to dry out this end somewhat. And then on top of that, this thing is covered. I mean, I even worked on this already, so I'm going to have to continue to mess with this and clean it up. In general, you probably, on your fat cap, you want around 1/4 inch fat cap. You can kind of see it's already there, right? And there's a little bit that's probably greater than 1/4 inch, but in general, it's there. You don't want too much fat on it because that'll make it take longer to cook. Secret is low and slow. Somewhere between 225 degrees, 240 degrees. I'm going to say at 240, you can probably, it's usually going to take around 10 hours, but you need a good thermometer. Generally a thermopin. And that thermopin will take the temp, and whenever you hit a temp of 197 degrees is what I like to hit. I generally start paying attention when I get up around probably 190. I'll start looking and taking more temps more often, and once I hit that 197, I pull it out and I throw it into a cooler. And when you throw it into that cooler, it just allows it to sit and rest and finish out. It'll probably, reach an ending cook of like 202. So, which is great for a tender brisket, and it'll absorb back in some of the moisture while it sits in your cooler. So, there's a general thing. What else I need to explain? At about 6 hours of smoke, I actually pull mine. I wrap them. Lots of people will gripe that I'm wrapping. I wrap them in foil. While I wrap them in foil, I get a stout. It can be Guinness. This is a pretty good beer to put in there. Don't get anything bitter. You want to kind of, maybe like a coffee taste, or just in general a decent stout. Wrap it. You do not want to pour it in there cold, so it needs to be I would actually probably pour it in a glass and then warm it up in the microwave for about a minute to where it's pseudo warm, because you don't want to stall out your brisket by putting in cold beer. It will do it and it will screw up your brisket. Don't do it. So warm up your stout a little bit before you put it in there, and pour it on the sides. Do not pour it on top of your bark so that you don't ruin your bark. I give it one more salting. I don't necessarily go back over it. I use this Texas Brothers, which is awesome. You can buy that at United. You can also buy it online. Really, that's all. I mean, you don't have to put anything else on it. I don't salt it until that 6 hour mark, and then I'll salt the top all the way across here. Wrap it, put my beer in, put it back on the grill. Just wait, low and slow, somewhere between 225, 240. 225 is probably going to take you a little longer, somewhere around 12 hours. I've had it turn out great both ways. Does not make a difference. You just need consistent temperature. There's a general gist of how you do it. Don't pull these early. If you don't cook them out to where they reach a temp of over 200, and I don't mean on the grill. If you pull it early, 197, let it sit. Don't cut it. Don't do anything to it. Let it sit in the cooler. Let it finish out. It'll get over 200. And when it gets over 200, all this fat will render and you'll have a great brisket. If you don't do that, if you pull it too early, the fat won't render. You'll get a fatty brisket and it is chewy and disgusting. If you cook it too fast, you'll dry out your brisket and it won't be good. Just in general, those are kind of the rules. All right. Catch y'all later.